Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, fellow humans, fellow compatriots from across the planet, I am Nikhil Parekh. In this video, I shall be talking about my book titled Hide and Seek Part 8, rhyming and non-rhyming poems, as well as giving you a recitation of different poems from this book of mine. So friends, let me commence with an introduction to this book of mine about the poetry book. This book, which has 34 differently titled poems, is actually part 8 of the book titled Hide and Seek, rhyming and non-rhyming poems, 702 pages. Parekh's earliest collection of verse, written in unparalleled fervor. This collection is a delectable blend of topics from love to death, probing into countless infinitesimal aspects of existence, which make a significant impact to it. The beauty of this compendium lies in its magical brevity at places and in the most mundane things of life around us, brought to the fore like a magician's wand in brilliant poetic flair by Parekh. Contains poems on topics impossible for one to envisage that a poem could be written about such an inconspicuous little thing. But Parekh evolves bountiful rhyme from the word go and coalesces vivacious color in the little tidbits of the chapter called life to optimum effect. A must read for all those who find color, charm and significance in even the smallest things of life and are enthused by even the most mercurial bit of stray paper loitering around. A poetic tribute to the ordinary, projecting its colorful extraordinary bit to the planet with raw panache. This book tingles every living being's imagination to fantasize beyond the ordinary. Look at all those meaningful tidbits around us which have a complete book written in each one of them. All those joyous and unfortunate anecdotes around us which make us blossom into the true spirit of existence, into the amazing celebration of omnipotent life, So now, ladies and gentlemen, I shall give you a recitation of 4 different poems from this book of mine. These 4 differently titled poems are Sunday, Happy Birthday, Silver Cobweb, and Water is Precious. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a recitation of my poem titled Sunday. It came after 6 days of grueling work, 6 days of assiduous effort under the scorching ball of sun. 6 days of assiduous effort under the scorching ball of sun. 6 days of unrelenting tasks executed at electric pace. 6 days of insufficient meals blended with stingy amounts of obnoxious coffee. 6 days of insufficient meals blended with stingy amounts of obnoxious coffee. 6 days of absolution from amicable domains of family. 6 days of sedulous expeditions. 6 days of sedulous expeditions in packed to capacity commuter trains. 6 days of deprivation from a ravishing game of lawn tennis. 6 days of deprivation from a ravishing game of lawn tennis. 6 days of obliteration from revitalizing spray of the ocean. 6 days of conscious efforts to wear feckless and spurious smiles. 6 days of wandering in a claustrophobic ambience of lackluster paper. In a claustrophobic ambience of lackluster paper. 6 days of monotonous salute to the disillusioning Supremo. 6 days of dedicated projects with eyes incorrigibly glued to the computer. 6 days of incessant perspiration dribbling down crisp shirt. Dribbling down crisp shirt. 6 days of onerous struggle to compete with intellectuals. 6 days of nostalgia for peace, weighing heavily on mind. 6 days of nostalgia for peace, weighing heavily on mind. 6 days of obstreperous noise piercing through soft ear. 6 days of aching feet with spasmodically restless back. 6 days of impatient sighs and a perpetual longing for melodious sleep. 6 days of impatient sighs and a perpetual longing for melodious sleep. The 7th day did finally arrive. I drew back multiple blinds in my apartment house. I drew back multiple blinds in my apartment house to let sizzling rays of dawn fumigate my persona. Slept late in the morning, oblivious to hassles of mundane work. Consumed barrels of enticing beer, nibbling fresh nut on the silver sands of the beach. Languidly strolled a few miles with the pungent spray of the water. Languidly strolled a few miles with the pungent spray of the water, stimulating my dreary eyes as I candidly prayed to the Creator to bless me and my family with bountiful more Sundays. Stimulating my dreary eyes as I candidly prayed to the Creator to bless me and my family with bountiful more Sundays. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Happy Birthday. So here is a recitation of my poem from this book of mine. May God bestow upon you bountiful riches. May God bestow upon you. May God bestow upon you bountiful riches. Bless you with all that is benevolent. Reinforce your life with surplus number of living years. Exempt you from all misdeeds you inadvertently committed. Eradicate traces of hysterical agony from your heart. Transform the bleary caricature. Transform the bleary caricature of your face into one with sacrosanct smiles. Freeze the tears which ooze. Freeze the tears which ooze profusely from your magical eyes. Safeguard you against deathly mishaps and obnoxious falls. Fill your belly with sumptuous food every unleashing minute of the day. Quenching your thirst with immaculate water from volatile springs. Clear evil mists obscuring your belligerent demeanor. Evacuate the pointed thorns adhering solidly to your nimble feet. endow you with exorbitant charisma, infectiously drawing flocks of people. Drive away forever the vindictive ready to strangulate you. Place you in an ostentatious palace, flowing with philanthropic riches. Revitalize your soul as the sun dazzles bright every dawn. Revitalize your soul as the sun dazzles bright every dawn. Gift you with the magical prowess of turning threadbare mud into gold. Gift you with the magical prowess of turning threadbare mud into gold. Here's my friend wishing you and all those born on this day a very celestially happy and gratifying birthday. Here's my friend wishing you and all those born on this day a very happy, a very celestially happy and gratifying birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Silver Cobweb. So here is a recitation of my poem titled Silver Cobweb from this book of mine. It glistened magnificently under the brilliant sun. It glistened magnificently under the brilliant sun, resembling the enigmatic and mystical angel. It shimmered majestically under the fluorescent beams of moon. Looking like swirling waves of sea eventually culminating into froth. It shimmered majestically under the fluorescent beams of moon, looking like the swirling waves of sea eventually culminating into froth. It wavered rampantly with the gusty breeze, occasionally snapping apart some of its flocculent threads. It nonchalantly greeted the inclement rain, thoroughly despising fat globules of water striking against its flimsy silhouette. It trapped scores of innocuous insects in its viscous womb, a plethora of young fledglings who tried to permeate its territory. It was firmly riveted to bifurcated branches of rustic trees, enmeshing a host of boisterous termites who dared try and butcher it. It had boundless strands of silk, interwoven at incongruous distances of space. Its beauty appeared all the more accentuated at ephemeral dawn. With hazy rays of light marking its incoherently rotund periphery. It feasted and supremely relished a meal of blood-sucking bat, which inadvertently got ensnared, flying haphazardly in the night. It was embossed with tinges of dull grey, with its color appearing almost invisible to the unsuspecting intruder. It also inhabited residential dwellings, a cluster of cloistered places and dilapidated mansions being its hot favorite. It got mercilessly blown away in thunderstorms, who dismantled it from its very roots without the slightest of respite. It was wholesomely silky in complexion, with its long follicles partially engulfed by poisonous juices. It looked ominous in the ambience of open space, and yet at the same time was a treat to admire for the scientist and philanderer. It was profoundly oblivious to sound. The only thing it relied on being nimble sensations of touch. It itself didn't possess the slightest of odor. It itself didn't possess the slightest of odor. The only scent that wafted from its demeanor was that of incarcerated prey. It was a dreadful nuisance for housewives who didn't spare it the moment they sighted it, swapping it uncouthly with their tall broomsticks. It was virtually found inhabiting all corners of the globe, not sparing even the most immaculate of corner. And the most incredulous thing about it was that it impregnated a pot-bellied spider, which was ever ready to unsparingly gobble any palpable organism that got caught, which hereby concludes the story of the network of satiny threads which formed the silver cobweb. And the most incredulous thing about it was that it impregnated a pot-bellied spider, which was ever ready to unsparingly gobble any palpable organism that got caught, which hereby concludes the story of the network of satiny threads which formed the silver cobweb. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Water is Precious. So here is a recitation of my poem titled Water is Precious from this book of mine. If there was water on the surface of dry leaves, they would look superbly mesmerizing, glistening profoundly under the sun. If there was water on mud-coated wall, there would be a ravishing scent that permeated the adulterated air. If there was water on vegetables lying sprawled in a forlorn heap, they would bounce back to boisterous life, retrieving the plethora of minerals they had lost in the blistering heat. If there was water on fossils languidly scattered in obsolete territories of the dormant volcano, they would perspicuously depict the mysteries of the past. Besides shimmering magnificently under the moon, if there was water on wild buds of jungle mushroom, the unruly shoots would sparkle tenaciously, drawing millions of mouths towards them to satiate their famished taste buds. If there was water on a battalion of acrimonious thorns, their tips would get dramatically softened, making them flounder in their conquest of mercilessly puncturing soft skin. If there was water on scalp hair, their bedraggled texture would miraculously transform into immaculately polished. If there was water on the obdurate form of bed, there would be an unprecedented cool that besieging the ambience. And I would find it astoundingly easy to fall into a invincible siesta. If there was water on pairs of chapped lips, they would look irrefutably voluptuous and longing to be kissed. If there was water on the scorched soil of arid desert, if there was water on the scorched soil of arid desert, the surrounding wildlife would get substantial reprieve from sweltering storms of heat. If there was water on rampant flames, if there was water on rampant flames of fire ominously rising up by the zipping second, the occupants inside would be saved from the tyranny of being burnt alive. If there was water on the elevation of dusty window panes, they would suddenly glitter in animation, explicitly exposing the panoramic view outside. Explicitly exposing the panoramic view outside. If there was water on the riverbed, scores of children would gleefully toss in it, splashing it frivolously on passing pedestrians. If there was water on clusters of scarlet rose, they would diffuse a blissful fragrance, penetrating the claustrophobic environment with a reinvigorating aroma. If there was water on feathers of the majestic peacock, if there was water on the feathers of the majestic peacock, it had the potential to circulate waves of rhapsody, even in the veins of a dying man. Even in the veins of a dying man, when the bird unfolded its wings, to a complete blossom. If there was water on soiled cloth, incorrigible stains would be indiscriminately exonerated, and the fabric would now resemble an impeccable white. If there was water on the serrated skin of chameleon, if there was water on the serrated skin of the chameleon, it would appear more rubicund. While wandering indefatigably through the bushes. And if there was water on the inverted eyelashes of my beloved, she would look like a goddess bathed in exquisite gold. And if there was water on the inverted eyelashes of my beloved, she would look like a goddess bathed in exquisite gold. And let me tell you, friends, it was very easy for us to unflinchingly achieve the above mentioned, if only we learnt to save and judiciously preserve water. And let me tell you, friends, it was very easy for us to unflinchingly achieve the above mentioned, if only we learnt to save and judiciously preserve water, as its every droplet is inevitably worth a million, for it is a source of all life beside us, an indispensable fuel to rejuvenate the depleted reservoir of our energy. Water is precious, as its every droplet is inevitably worth a million, for it is a source of all life beside us, an indispensable fuel to rejuvenate the depleted reservoir of our energy. Water is precious. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, fellow compatriots, fellow humans from across the planet, it truly was my honest privilege to have given a recitation of my poetry to your glorious jurisdiction. From the innermost realm of my soul, I wanted to express my gratitude to you for having so brilliantly, for having so victoriously patronized my poetry. Of course, at any juncture of mesmerizing existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. Thank you for listening to me.